How we doing, everybody? Welcome to Break the Chains News and Info, where we break the chains of normalcy, break the chains of conformity, and most of all, break the chains of lies and misinformation represented by the mainstream media. I am your host, Corey, and riding with me always across the way is my main man, Scratch. How we doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, buddy?
I'm living here. I'm happy. It's sun's out, guns out. You know, wearing a tank top, enjoying it. I don't know. This past week, it took my son and I to go catch a movie. It's been a while since we sat down and had a little podcast, but here we are. We're having a good time.
What'd you see?
I saw. I'm kind of upset that I saw it so late in the game, but Spider-Man: Homecoming.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, Spider-Man: Homecoming. Really,
you feel bad. You saw it in the theaters. I still have yet to see it.
I guess you're right. I mean, I felt bad I wasn't there the midnight showing. I guess.
Well, I'll give you that. I don't know. I can't seem to get to the theaters lately, but it is definitely one that I want to see. All right, without giving me too much, don't. I'm not going
to. No spoilers. Yeah, this is a non-spoiler alert. I'm just going to keep it pretty general for everybody. As a film major, I went to film school here in Colorado. I'm kind of a movie buff in that respect. I like my action movies. I like my dramas. Spider-Man, I think, did a really good job. I mean, obviously, we're living in that Marvel universe, cinematic universe. Everything's great. Tony Stark's in it.
Awesome.
Aunt May's in it. We actually see a lot of new characters as well, kind of like alluding to future endeavors with the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
The suit was awesome. Everything typical awesome Spider-Man that you'd want to see. And it was a nice kind of hybrid between the Spider-Man that you knew in the comics or in the early 90s TV shows versus in a nice blend with modern day, how the universe has been set up, how Tony Stark involves himself with Peter Parker and that whole... It's like a coming-of-age kind of thing. And I think they need to pace themselves a little bit faster when it comes with like Peter Parker's development, because obviously he's just kind of got thrown into it. So they're kind of like, all right, we got to pick up the pieces now. We got to get into this Infinity War thing coming up. Yeah. So all in all, I liked it. It was a good movie. The one thing I didn't like, however, is just how
Jesus.
There's all, you got to always pick at something, right?
There usually is at least something about
like
every movie.
One or two things. They're just like, I don't really know about that. And I know that, like I said, a film major at heart, there's always that bias or there's always that side of perspective when the film is being made, as far as political leniency or ideology. So you kind of see that a little bit more prevalent in Marvel, or particularly this movie, just social justice and political correctness.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, it's a little upsetting.
Oh God, why do they fucking insist on ruining good movies?
Yeah, good movies, and then just saucing it down with a little bit of normal.
Ideas. Like I've seen the trailers. It looks visually very, very comic booky. It seemed like they finally fucking got it right.
Yeah, I mean they got it right with a hint of liberal lunacy.
No.
Yeah.
All right. So liberal lunacy. What exactly? Give me a couple of instances where
So most Spider-Man fans know that Flash Gordon.
Yes.
Not Flash Gordon. I'm sorry, Flash Gordon. Flash Thompson is the high school bully, big blonde-haired, beefy guy, football player. Yeah, in this movie,
beat his ass.
This movie, he was played by an Indian from India.
What?
Indian.
Why?
I don't know. And then Liz Riley was played by an African American, which Liz Riley is typically another. Obviously Spider-Man was written in the 60s.
Yeah, for people that don't understand, who is that?
One of Spider-Man's, through his multiverses, one of his love interests, one of his girlfriends, not Mary Jane Watson, but Mary Jane Watson was also played by I would say Hispanic or a multicolored. It's a multicolored cast, and I love multicolored casts, and everybody has their place in a movie.
Absolutely,
but they're converting. They're kind of I would say whitewashing in the sense of scrubbing out white characters from early. This obviously Spider-Man was written in 1962, so it's a lot of traditionally written stuff.
I'll give you that.
So they have to kind of conform with the times, and that's cool.
Absolutely. Like, just changing the color of someone, that's not going to throw me off too bad. But when you take something that is fundamentally Spider-Man, which is Flash, and making Indian, and I assume he's not bullying.
Oh, no, he's still a bully. He's driving the fast car, this, that, and the other. But he's not, I guess, typically throwing Peter against the lockers. One of the things that I did see, though, whether you change the characters or not, really, that was kind of like a side issue, and I just kind of noticed that as a filmmaker. But what I did notice is that there was times, there's a particular moment where they go to the Washington Monument, and MJ brings up, oh, don't you know that statue was built by slaves? I'm not going in there to support slavery.
Oh,
and then the teacher says, I don't know about that. But then they cut to the security officer standing there, and he's kind of sitting there with his arms crossed, kind of like nodding, like,
yeah,
actually, it was built by slaves.
It seems like a bad 80s sitcom.
No.
I swear to God.
Sorry, white male professor alert. You're dumb. So that was one of the many instances.
But that's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood's always been that way.
Hollywood's always had a side, yeah.
Entertainment. I mean, you look at the Tim Allen show that was canceled because of ideology.
Last Man Standing.
Last Man Standing, exactly. But it wasn't about that. It wasn't about his ratings.
He had
ratings were
great
fine.
ratings. He was like number one or two
That's
in the
fucking
ratings.
Tim Allen. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Yeah. He is the fucking man.
He's a good dude.
And spent some time in jail for coke. But
I mean, who hasn't, right? I haven't, but...
Well, I haven't either, but...
no.
But,
I see what you're saying, though.
Hollywood's always had that bias.
Mm-hmm. There's always that kind of like hedging the bets towards this way or the other. I mean, Hollywood had it. Mainstream media even has it nowadays.
Well, and you're gonna touch on that, and I really, honestly, this is fascinating to me. I go back and I remember the news when my dad used to watch it, and there was still a leaning for each network, but ultimately it was the news.
Right. It was. It was very. I wouldn't say conservative, but it was very concise in its nature. It was very. These are the points A, B, C, and D, and this is where we got. This is, and then they might make an opinion or statement based on, but they're not going to say like, you're wrong, get out of my house, like, screw you. And that's kind of what we're seeing nowadays.
No, it is absolutely what we're seeing. With the cultural appropriation, the feelings, the everything that's going on, it's bleeding over into our media.
Yeah, media,
to
and
the
then
point
it gets
where
into newspapers.
You can't have a male and a female white host and co-host for fear that there's not enough.
Right.
There's not enough
diversity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
diversity is a big thing that's happening now.
If they're the right ones for the job,
right?
Just because they're white, well, no. I mean,
you can't do that.
Were they the best?
You can't do that.
Yeah, we can't do that. We have to have somebody. You need Maria Espinoza.
Yeah,
right next.
You have to have a multicultural cast,
has a
multi-diversity, and it's all about this
diction. And
it's the Neapolitan ice cream. Like, I don't really want the chocolate ice cream. I just want the strawberry. And that's not. I'm not saying like I have personal preferences to this, that, and the other. I want all inclusive. I definitely support this notion of we everybody has the right and everybody has the means to be wherever they would want to be, but it's based on performance, skill set, intelligence, IQ. Like I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna hire somebody with a gimp hand to do landscaping. It's just not in my nature. They're not going to be the one to lay 50 pounds of concrete in a day if they only have the strength of one arm.
No,
I mean,
you want the people that are, and I guess people are forgetting these are businesses. This is a business. It's there to make money,
right?
Not to hurt somebody's feelings, but if somebody's better for the job,
I'm going to take them.
Exactly,
I'm going to take them.
I don't care if they're white. I don't care if they're black. I don't care if they're Indian. Are they going to make me the most money without the least amount of stress?
My mom had a quick. She brought up something really quick. I was mentioning to her something about this. She was she used to cater. She was a big catering person. She worked there for 25, 30 years of her life, and she used to hire people for this. 5-star nice catering, weddings. She catered for the Pope, important people.
Damn.
But she had to basically say in her interview process, she goes, you can't have visible tattoos, you can't have dreadlocks, you can't have hair past your shoulder, and I understand this because I've been in the restaurant industry. I understand those kind of things, but I'll put it this way. If I had a person, whether it be male or female, that worked in all the best of the best catering, she knew how to do banquets, they knew how to do banquets, everything, but they had dreadlocks, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna hire them because of their skill set, not I'm still gonna, obviously they're gonna wear their hair up, they're gonna be professional, but I want to have that person doing the greatest job that they can for me, regardless of who they are, as far as their personal image. I want them to be the best, it kind of goes right into what we're trying to hint about for this week. Did you hear that the whole Google fiasco? Actually, I'm actually going to coin the term. They're not Google anymore. They're Gulag. It's the Gulag. Okay, did you hear about it?
I heard a little bit about it. I haven't gone into depth.
What do you know? What do you know about it vaguely? Just basically.
In a nutshell, I know that a guy wrote something. People's feelings got hurt, and he got fired for it.
You pretty much got the gist of it there.
That was the Cliff Notes version.
The Cliff Notes version, exactly. Yes, somebody wrote something. People feeling got hurt. Fired. Perfect. However, it's a little bit more in depth than that. Okay, so this dude works for Google. He's a Google engineer. He's writing, coding. I don't know how long he's worked there. His name is James Damore, and so he's the person in question that lost his job. He wrote this thing called the Google Manifesto, and
Didn't the Unabomber write one of those?
Well,
manifestos have never ever ended well.
No, you're right, but he didn't name it. It's kind of it got its own coin. Because of that, he didn't name it. He's not like writing this thing and be like, oh, look at me writing the next piece of physical history.
This is my manifesto.
Quite really though, he kind of did write a big piece of history here because this document, it's a 10-page document. He basically speaks out. Not in opposition of Google because he loves the company. He said it himself in the interview that I watched. He wanted only the best for Google, and he was basically seeing the trends that is Google and how they're kind of leaning towards a certain path, and how as a business this is counterproductive to their main goal as being a diversity, all encompassing. Everybody has a right to speak their mind and feel safe in the environment. Everybody should feel safe in any work environment, for sure.
It's a work environment. You're more productive when you feel comfortable and safe and protected and useful. So, what surprised me about this, and I read through the not all 10 pages.
No, that's a lot. I can read through books, no problem. 10 pages. God,
yeah, dang. Good Lord, he was long-winded. I once again did the quick skim,
yes.
And I was waiting for the racial slur. I was waiting for the calling women something.
The way that they made it sound.
Yeah.
It sounded like this guy was toting a big machete and a big red Confederate flag and all kinds of... he was very smart. I was waiting for it.
It was concise.
Yeah.
And part of the things are... He's right.
Not only what he wrote made sense, but he added cliff notes, annotations, brought in facts, documents. Biologic. He referenced doctors.
Used his brain.
Yeah,
he works for Google, for fuck's sake. He's smart.
He's sitting there. He's basically like a human computer. He's sitting there doing the grind. He's sitting there chomping away at the bit, and he brought in the fact that under certain demographics, under certain population situations, you're going to have a higher percentage of one, whether it be ethnic group or age group or gender group, or let's put it this way: NBA. The NBA has a higher percentage of African American, very tall players.
Well, it's their bread and butter.
That's what they want. They want a guy that is 7 foot something and able to shoot from the 3-point line or whatever the case may be. Just like an oil rig wants a dude that can work any hours of the day, that's able to move heavy machinery, heavy pipes, equipment. Just like we want teachers or restaurant person. I mean, we want people that excel in their craft or in their skill set. So James, he wanted to bring light that Google wants this equality, but it's very difficult when your main focus is coding and engineering and computer science. And
yeah, I don't think the 21-year-old, 22-year-old girls are lining up to do coding.
No, and that's exactly it.
It's a very male-dominated industry. I mean, tech as a rule is more of a man's world, and that's not like Google or any of those other sites really set out to go, well, we're going to have a white male dominated industry. No,
it's
that's
not
just
their intention.
what it is.
It's not their intention by any stretch. They want the best for their business.
Absolutely.
They want the best for their company. And you look back hundreds of years. I mean, you had the main philosophers or scientists of the time were typically middle-aged to elderly-aged male figures. Not because of them being male. It was that was the skill set and the craft.
That was the breaks.
That was it.
And Google really has no fucking room to talk. None.
No.
Found something. It is a year old. I'll give you that. It is a year old. I couldn't find the
statistic. A year's still relevant. Yeah.
A year. It says that Google said that 69% of its employees are now male, while 31% are female. So right there, you're looking at 69 and 31%. Well over half are males, and that was a small increase from the year before, from 70 to 30.
Sure.
So,
I mean, they still have a third of their population.
They
is
only
female.
went up 1%. I
mean,
So he talked about men and women and all that. I really feel like Google's not doing their due diligence and saying, hey, we support all matters of thought.
Oh, sure. The funny thing is that they say those things and then they do the exact opposite of those things. So, in reference, have you ever read the book 1984?
I think I had to in high school.
I think you should have everyone should have read it, okay? I have the 1984 edition written by George Orwell, but I have almost a perfect little, snippet that applies greatly to this piece, because you're sitting here saying that, like, Google wants diversity. Google wants all inclusive. Everybody should be comfortable and free. But yet this guy that spoke out against the apparent ways that the workplace was evolving into in Google, he speaks out his mind only to try to better the workplace. And then Google says, shut your mouth, you misogynistic bigot, you're fired. Within 2 days. That's what happened.
And the way that this is exploding and everything. And like I said, I was waiting for him to call them whores. I was waiting for him to make a racial comment.
Yeah.
It's absolutely ridiculous, but Google's the same. It says right here, ethnicity. 59% of Google employees are white, while 32% are Asian. Fucking shocker there.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. Where's the outrage?
In tech? Holy fuck. 3% are Hispanic, and 2% are black.
Okay.
So, realistically, if you really want to boil it down, he only pissed off about 38% of the company. So,
but
hey,
that 30% of the company's sitting at the very top, right?
Apparently, which I know that other people have touched on it, but Google definitely has its share of Democrats and staunch Democrats.
Sure, wow Democrats.
Yes, there is no debating whether or not which way they're going to lean on anything.
Really quick, just to piggyback on your percentage numbers here, I have a little clip out of NBC News.
Mine was Time.
Okay,
yeah.
Comparing Google to other major internet platforms like Apple or Facebook, 23% of Apple's technical roles are filled by women. And at Facebook, 17 are filled by women. So if you really want to have some outrage, you better look to those guys. I mean, if that's your issue.
But that's the fucking point.
The point we're trying to make is that
you can't fill these jobs because exactly what he's talking about is exactly the reason why they have these demographics.
Yes. Enter the phrase thought crime. Enter the phrase, crime think. Okay? So a little snippet out of the book 1984 I got here for y'all. Backstory, the main character Winston's sitting there kind of writing in a journal, and he's writing, he's writing down the phrases, down with Big Brother, down with Big Brother, over and over and over again, filling about half a page. He could not help feeling a twinge of panic. It was absurd, since writing of those particular words was not more dangerous than that of the initial act of opening the diary. But for a moment he was tempted to tear out the page and abandon his enterprise altogether. But he did not do so, however, because he knew that it was useless. Whether he wrote down with Big Brother, or whether he refrained from writing it, made no difference. The thought police would get him in the same. He had committed what would have still been committed even if he had never put pen onto paper, the essential crime that has contained all others in itself, a thought crime. So this James Damore committed a thought crime by just expressing his opinion against the Google. That is the thought police, the ministry of thought,
Well, Google, and you're absolutely right. They are the gatekeepers of the internet. I mean, there's not a computer, Apple, Microsoft, Linux. Yeah. It does not matter. It comes with Google.
That is their mother of all platforms, of all search engines, and they have all the algorithms, and they're the ones collecting all the data.
But don't you think that they have a responsibility as I think, the Wizard of Oz. They only know the secrets. They are sending everybody out there. They're our voice,
sure.
In a sense. So don't you think that they're just absolutely wrong for just fucking getting this guy? Because
I firmly believe that. It's crazy.
Because he thought, women and men are different. News fucking flash, we are.
We are different. And we are good at particular things and particular skill sets, and he was just referencing that. And I think what Google is, or what all internet opinions are, is the digital embodiment of the human culture. And we have to understand that if you want to go around toting this flag of diversity, flag of all this big thing, you have to treat everyone as individuals. Treat everybody as case by case basis. Like we have young conservatives, we have old Democrats, and vice versa, and we have all these people that make up our demographic that we have to cater to effectively and appropriately without shutting some off or filtering some out. And we see now with YouTube, we see now with Google. Parent company Google. Algorithms are shifting search engine demographics, especially in YouTube now. You have the whole demonetization of certain web pages.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are feeling the hit on that.
Yeah.
A lot of conservatives, not even conservatives. They don't have to be conservative. All they have to do is have a conservative sway.
Sure.
Jordan, to the conversation, and it's stupid. When I think of Google as our written history. Yeah. We're not sitting there in monasteries writing down our history anymore.
Yeah.
This is our history. So if they're going to go through and pad the demographics, if they're going to sit there and be like, "Oh no, we are a diverse company," no, you're not.
No, you're not. You're
not.
You got
at all. Mostly white males and Asians.
Yeah. Sundar Pichai is the CEO of Google, and he's been there super far left wing. Been there since 2015. Danielle Brown is the VP of diversity in Google. And let's put it this way. If you have to have a person in your business that is a VP of diversity,
you've got a diversity problem.
There's a problem, okay?
Absolutely.
And she actually even worked for the Hillary campaign.
Oh, fantastic.
So there's
so we
a
know
bias,
which way she's
just a little.
Well, they're a private company, so they have the right to be
I'll give them that. That's fine.
They have the right to be.
That's fine.
But don't sit there when you're hiring mostly white men and Asians, both men and women. You can't sit there and act like, what he said was wrong, because right there in the numbers,
your numbers,
are male.
It's exactly what he's speaking.
31% are female.
He's not crazy.
We're different. We're different,
and it's okay.
And that's
it's okay.
That's the tech world,
and it's okay for that.
Absolutely.
And it just comes at a time where we need to step away from these big superstructures that is controlling the way we operate, the way we move, the way we think. And what do we do? I mean, James Damore, I'm sure, has avenues to go at them legally.
He's a smart guy.
He's smart.
He's probably made plenty of money with Google. He'll be fine.
He'll be just fine.
But here's the problem. Our society's not fine. Our society is not okay. Our society are they going to be the ones that all of this whitewashing, all of this, pardon the pun, all this social justice warrior stuff where we can't say what we mean or mean what we say
without being called a bigot,
exactly,
or misogynist, or any of the magical
words, the fact
words.
that I have white privilege,
right,
or any of this. When do we stop that and go, okay, this is a male-driven industry? For the women that want to work there, great.
I'm glad
Bring
that they
them in,
do.
make them feel comfortable, make them the example.
But
I don't
don't
care
make
if you put, but don't sit there and make a guy lose his job only because he wrote exactly what it says in the numbers.
Only to help the company at the end of the day. I mean, don't sit there and say like women are lining up to work this job when they're, those that want to be there should be there and deserve to be there, but it's not like they're waiting in line.
And he didn't even pull the Ben Shapiro.
No,
he didn't even pull where he, if you've seen anything with Ben Shapiro,
good guy, great guy.
The fact is, his major talking point about this is that women. I'm paraphrasing. Obviously, I'm not as smart as that guy, but that women are taking other jobs and they're different, and men will stay at work longer. It's the core. It's like
social services jobs, like teachers or aides or face-to-face communications with people. A people person is more in the realm of a woman and her comfortable realm, whereas the men are going to work in coal mines, work in oil industry, work in sanitation. Not saying that. There's a bell curve. There's a shape to demographics, and you're going to have a percentage of women in everything, but I don't see many women standing on the back of a garbage truck picking up your trash at early before sunrise. I'm sure there are, but there's percentage wise.
But if you were to if someone said, "Hey, put $1,000 down of your own money, and that garbage truck's going to pull up," will you bet that $1,000 that it's a woman? Nobody would take that bet.
No. Yeah.
The odds are very, very, very slim.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we need to address.
So how do we fix this?
How do we
stop
political
ignoring,
correctness?
Well, not even just political correctness, but how do we stop this? The wage gap. I'm so goddamn tired of hearing about the wage gap.
They passed a law making it illegal to pay women less.
Exactly.
That's.
You know what? And if you're working for that company and you're getting paid less, go to a company that'll pay you more.
Find another job.
Yeah.
Like that's the free market.
Well, that's the thought now. Why should I have to be, get another job? Well, because you're not happy and you're not getting paid what you think you deserve.
Expand your skill set and make yourself more favorable to companies that want you.
Well, it really boils down to another probably very, very bright, very, very hardworking person loses his job because he said what he thought.
Yeah, and thought crime.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have thoughts anymore.
No,
apparently.
exactly. So what, like you said earlier, what do we do? How do we shift from living in this technocracy that is Google and YouTube and censorship and media control, and you can't, if you say anything outside of our little realm, then you're going to be shunned and destroyed. What do we do?
I'm at a loss. I didn't think we'd get to this point.
It's kind of sad. I think the easiest way and the simplest way to do it, is to build your own avenues, build your own departments, and it's going to be tough. And we're basically building it from the ground up. But for right now, easiest thing people can do is if people have disdain or discontent for what Google has done and how they represented their diversity, first thing you can do is get rid of your Google accounts. If you really want to go extreme, get rid of your Google accounts. But to keep it soft, to keep kind of phase into it if you want to be a little soft core, go just to different search engines. Just do different search engines using different using their algorithms. I mean, I know for a couple Bing. I think everybody's familiar with Bing.
If it's not Google, it's Bing.
Right. And then there's actually a surprise. I did a research last night. Bing is the first one, but there's other ones too. And let's see here. I'm pulling up the page here. You have Bing. You have DuckDuckGo, which is one I haven't heard of. But
I've never heard of that.
It's a search engine that doesn't track you. Not that I'm not worried about it, but it's so DuckDuckGo's there. You have CC Search. You have BuzzSumo, Board Reader. There's a lot of different ways to do your search engines, and if you want to go extreme, you can get rid of your Google account, you can get rid of your Gmail account, but it's kind of torn. At the end of the day, I think what needs to happen is we need to have a strong push of independent and entrepreneurial-minded people to offer new platforms, to offer new video hosting services like YouTube, or offer new search engine services like Google, or become this independent. I don't want to segregate and I don't want to separate, but it's literally they're the ones causing the separation. When you talk about white privilege, why didn't James Damore have white privilege? He was a white male. He should have been held, but he lost his job. So how do we get So step away from their little mind control grid that is separation. If you're not included to our little group. And that's almost like a cult, and it's sad. And I don't want to have this mindset of cultic behaviors, but they're the ones perpetuating it. I want to live in a society that everybody can feel comfortable with freedom of thought. I want people to feel like this podcast is pretty diverse and pretty all its own. I want to supply products that are all inclusive to every demographic because I love people. I love talking and picking the brains of people. And if you like what we heard, we've been saying all this whole time. It's a longer version of a podcast, but check out my website, www.breakthechainsart.com. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram under the hashtag name, not the hashtag name, the little squiggle thing. What was it last time? Yeah, the at squiggle. BTC_art design. That's my handle. You can find me there. And I just want to get your input on this, guys, because we're living in a time now where everything is under scrutiny. Everything's under this big government or big outreaching program of control, and I'm sick of it. And that's why we're doing what we do.
Absolutely. I'm down with the fucking man at this point.
Yeah.
You can't please everybody. You're not going to please half of the fucking people. Just suck it up and be fucking human beings again. This is bullshit.
Yeah. We can all be different and we can all live together we're all on this earth together, and we all need to basically understand that we're all going to be different. We're not coming out of the same cookie cutter form. So with that, subscribe to my newsletter on my website. I post things once a month on there. I have pins you can pick up, but please let me hear from you. And
I'm actually interested to see some of the comments on this.
Yeah,
I know there's so many different ways you can go with it.
It's a big issue. It's a never ending issue, a perpetual issue. So with that, be safe, be free, and most of all, speak your mind.
America.